Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Anthony Garcia, author of Catapulting Commissions. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Paul, thanks for having me on today.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
I am ready, sir.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say speed is your friend. Trying to make it perfect is your enemy. In my very first book, I took a little longer writing the book, and some of the concepts that I put in the earlier chapters of my book, I ended up rewriting because my thoughts and beliefs had changed just a little bit. So I would accelerate that process to get the book out as fast as possible.
Yeah, two things I always teach my clients is one, don't be afraid to take the plunge, but two, done is better than perfect. Just get the dang thing out, because if you get stuck in this whole perfectionism thing, then you're never going to get it out.
100%. Perfectionism was what slowed me down, and done is better than perfect is what really put my book to the edge and finished it home for me.
Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
You know, I definitely think one of the things that people have this perception about getting published, there's multiple ways to get your book published. There's self-publishing, traditional publishing, a hybrid method. Catapulting Commissions came on a hybrid method. And I think one of the biggest challenges there for me was my own limiting beliefs. I wanted to get my book out, and I wanted to get my book out. I didn't completely go self-publishing because there was a lot of things that I didn't know. I was trying to go traditional route. Really didn't have the coaching at that time to go for it, and so hybrid publishing really became my niche. And the hardest thing for me to overcome was my own limiting belief. I had to make really an investment to myself to say, if I'm going to put this book out, what is the end goal? What is the end objective? And am I worth that? Do I provide enough value? And so that limiting belief, and once I made that switch that Catapulting Commissions was going to be the transition to my company, to my consulting organization, to the future that I wanted, once that mental shift made, everything else fell in place. But getting past that shift was so challenging.
I think the main thing I learned in college when I got my bachelor's was one key concept, and that was opportunity cost. And that is, what is it costing you to not get this book out? What is it costing you to not go down this path? And then when you start to add that up, I mean, it can be a huge number. And it's one of those things where you really have to think about, okay, am I going to invest in this? Because what is it costing me to not make that investment?
Absolutely. I mean, you really sit and your limiting beliefs on publishing your book prevent you from the income you want, the future you want, the flexibility you want. And my book launched January 2020. We're airing this here at the back end of the year, and so much has changed from simply just having the book out. It has definitely changed my life in more ways than I ever anticipated.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
Yeah, a couple of strategies that work really well. I definitely put the book out for free in the beginning to get as many reviews and downloads right out the gate, and that was phenomenal, and that helped boost my metrics, that helped get reviews, that helped my natural search optimization within Amazon and the algorithm. And I feel that in launching the book, that became pretty standard. The one thing that I did that I believe really helped catapult, and no pun intended to Catapulting Commissions, but helped catapult my speaking career and coaching, is I took a little bit of money and I created my own book launch party with friends and family. I found a nice restaurant. I went to the restaurant. I said, I want the banquet hall, and I want to have 60 to 80 of my closest friends. Here's my budget. Can we put this together? And sure enough, we put it together. I hired my own photographer. I hired a videographer. I created my own banners, and I said, okay, I'm going to throw the biggest party with friends and family, because friends and family typically are most supportive of your ventures. And trying to send them a text message, hey, download my book, buy my book, that's one thing. But hey, come meet me at this nice restaurant. I'm gonna give you some drinks and appetizers. Let's hang out. We're gonna celebrate my book launch. And doing that, I ended up with about 65, 68 people. Each person purchased more than one book, so the upfront cost paid for itself. But from there, the pictures, the video, the social media, I mean, my social media presence quadrupled over one day, and I was able to get picked up by local media outlets by simply just promoting my own book launch party. And that was one of the things that I was terrified, limiting beliefs, but that really helped at a local level, which led to local coaching, which led to a few speaking gigs simply from my existing network. But it was really the traditional, here we are, we're celebrating, we took pictures, I had a banner made. And to this day, I still use those banners and those pictures on social media posts, on my website, etc.
I love that because that's what I did for our multi-author book that we did last year. We turned it into a book launch party. We had this, the Miller Light Tavern in Texas Live. We had over 100 people there, friends and family, people that read the book. We had a banner. We did an author panel. We gave away some prizes that authors in the book gave away. The great thing was, one, no upfront costs because it was a dinner night of the week. It was a Tuesday night, so Texas Live, and at that time the Rangers weren't playing, so they were very happy to have someone who could bring a crowd in. So we were able to work that deal out. They made money because everyone was ordering off of their menu, ordering dinner, ordering cold frosty beverages, appetizers, whatever. So it was one of those things that was totally a win-win. But as you mentioned, we had the banners up, we had the promotional consideration, we had slides all over on every single screen. There's probably about 20 screens in there, and every single one of them had the Brodie Consultant logo on it. So it's just one of those things where you can take this, you can utilize it for multiple events, you can repurpose it, you can utilize it into your content marketing. But the thing is, it's not called a book sign-in, it's a party. And I don't know about you, but if someone tells me book launch party versus book sign-in party or book sign-in traditional event, I'm going to go to the party because I like to have a good time.
Every day I will pick a party over a book signing event. And really, when you're promoting your book, and that was kind of how I approached it, was, hey, this is a party, I'm coming out, let's have fun. I walk around, shook hands with everybody, and how you said those promotional pictures, I must have 60 pictures of me signing my book, autographing, different angles, and it all started from the party that I created myself. So I'm a big fan of that. I think, Paul, you hit the nail on the head, and I think more people should get out there and celebrate and get your inner circle of influence community behind your book.
Exactly. I had a social media company I work with. The digital marketers, they actually did a live stream. We repurposed it into a promotional video through another videographer we had there. We had a professional photographer. I mean, that's the other, I think, the key thing with this. It's not just about throwing the event, but it's about capturing the entire thing, documenting that entire event into blog posts, emails, different social media posts, different content, different videos, different clips. There's just so many ways that you can take this content, and I mean, we're utilizing it a year later because it was such good content and it connected with the audience.
I couldn't believe it's the master of repurposing. You created your own. I like that, Paul. That's a great strategy. I definitely think all your listeners should find a way to implement their own party. Plus, who doesn't like to have a party?
Exactly. Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
I love millions of books, and I've been reading multiple books. And as I've thought about this, the one book that has really changed my life is the oldie but goodie. And I say it's an oldie but goodie because I think the book is 80, 90 years old now, but it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And that book has changed the way I run my business. It's changed the way I work in sales and sales consulting. It's changed my sales process. It's changed the people I manage and lead. And the one nugget that I take from there is, in the book, Dale Carnegie tells people, if you give somebody a reputation to live up to, eventually they're going to embody that reputation and live up to it. You simply give someone a reputation to live up to, and eventually they're going to live up to it. Well, I've taken that and I've ran with it. And so I've given clients a reputation to live up to. You're my number one revenue producing client. I'm so thankful that you've been working with this year. My employees who work for me, hey, I just want to let you know, we wouldn't be as strong as we were without you being the leader that you are. And I have given so many people a reputation to live up to. And you know what's funny, Paul? They live up to that reputation. Then I gave myself a reputation to live up to, and slowly but surely I started living up to that as well. And a lot of that principles of who I am as a leader, as a sales coach, has come from how to win friends and influence people.
Well, and the main thing is you had one key word, and this is the same thing I had with my students when I taught for 9 years, and that was expectations. That's the main thing. People will always rise to expectations.
Absolutely. And nobody wants to disappoint somebody, so I think that's a great way to summarize that.
For a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote, and I'm going to say it's from Ronald Reagan, although I haven't really found people giving Ronald Reagan the credit for it, but it was a quote that sat on his desk when he was the president. And it goes to people who are in positions of leadership, positions of power, or who are making decisions. And the quote is, "There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit."
Now,
and that quote, I'm sorry, Paul.
No, go ahead.
That quote right there has, that quote has really changed the way I look at leadership, because we all want to go in the right direction. In my sales career, my sales coaching, I tell everyone, hey, at the end of the day, we want to produce revenue. Doesn't matter if Billy produced it or Sally produced it. No, we're going there. And as long as we don't care who gets the credit, we're always going to find the victory lane.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, man. At the end of the day, it's about the team. It's not about the individual.
Absolutely.
Well, Anthony, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Absolutely. So my website's Anthony P. Garcia, as in Anthony Paul Garcia. My social media handle is Anthony P. Garcia 99, and catapultingcommissions.com, so you can find a link to the book. That's who I am.
Anthony, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Paul, thanks for having me, buddy.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.